welcome. Today we're going to talk about agent productivity on steroids, kind of some of the things that the Brevity platform offers to make you a little bit more efficient at your job. Do me a favor, before I start sharing my screen here and we kind of dive into the presentation, I want to have you guys just check in for me a little bit. Go find the area where you can kind of chat. Go find that chat area for me and let me know, like, are you a current Brevity client? And if you're not, what system are you using right now to run your business? So while I get my screen in order here, you guys let me know, are you a current Brevity client? And if you're not, hey, Anila, single agent, not just getting started with Brevity. Ariel's a current Brevity client in the process. Jeffrey said he's on his way to getting signed up. All right, just getting started. Awesome. Lindsay, welcome. Glad to have you here. Let's see if there's a. I'm always fascinated, you know, when you have an audience and like a quarter engaged. I always wonder, like, what are the rest of you guys doing? Like Aaron Lennon, what are you doing? Engage. Kendra, what? Awesome. Thank you. Leonard, Bob Hayes, Brad, what are you guys up to over there? One day I won't start this thing till everybody checks in. Wouldn't that be fun? And then we could all just sit here and like shake our fist at Aaron or something. All right. Command and Brevity, looking to learn and join. Anella says, awesome. Benny's a Brevity client. Brad's been using Brevity for a few months. Awesome. Okay. Let's I want to give, it's going to be, you know, it's always a fun balancing act between kind of make sure that the people that don't know anything about Brevity learn a little bit about it. And then the people that know or are kind of involved get some value out of what we're talking about today. I'm going to share the wrong screen there. Let me try that one more time, guys. This is what I want. Okay. You guys can see my screen now. Let me get my chat, my Q&A back up. Christy Dorset, brand new to Brevity, used KV Core before. Awesome, fantastic. We're glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Bob Stewart. If you guys are Brevity clients, you know, over the next couple of weeks, as you watch videos, get trained, maybe potentially join us for our happy hour and lunch and learn calls, you'll get pretty familiar with me. I play a couple of roles here, but maybe the role that kind of best allows me to sit here with you guys and talk about leveraging Brevity to its fullest is I train Ben Kinney's place partners and all of their businesses on how they leverage and utilize the Brevity platform. And so I get the really unique opportunity to work with about 60 different teams that honestly are at all different stages of their use with Brevity. We've got some teams that have been in here for 4 years, you know, just they know the insides and outs in every dusty corner. And I work with teams every day that are brand new to Brevity. And so I want to, in today's call, we're just going to kind of take this arc of many of the different places where you could see kind of productivity come to light through the Brevity platform. So I'm going to base today's call around what Ben has traditionally called his real estate success principles. So Ben Kinney, he was an average guy. He was a cable guy. He got into real estate after he bought his first property. And in his first year, he was, you know, a very average agent. He did like 30 transactions. And in his second year, he did 84 transactions, and he'd hired an assistant. And over the last 13 years, he's built, it's the biggest real estate business in the United States. In 2020, his kind of organization did over 5,000 transactions. So he partners with a bunch of people around the country, and we run teams in, today it's about 65 or 70 locations. We're bringing on teams every week. But this philosophy here, Ben believes, and we've proven it over and over and over again in many different markets, that if these core principles you can have success in real estate by doing these things. The first one is say the right things. And so we actually, our teams, we practice scripts and dialogues. We actually have a bunch of cards here, and our teams use these every morning from 8:30 to 9. Our teams gather, we do our power up, and we do our scripts and dialogues practice every single morning. In fact, Ben started this before he had a team or anybody to practice with. He would just do this in his office. He'd show up in the conference room every morning at 8:30, kind of started letting other people know that he was going to be doing it. And over time, he built this culture in the first office he was a part of, where they would practice saying the right thing. The second real estate success principle is we say it to the right people. And look, early on in his career, he would use a phone book and he would just get in there and just call just over and over and over. And ultimately you get somebody on the phone who, if you saying that thing to them, they just happen to be the right person at the right time. And a lot of what we do in real estate, I don't think that you guys like sell houses. My wife is a professional salesperson. She started her sales career 20 years ago selling cell phones in the mall. And you would walk into the mall, right, Mary? You'd walk into the mall and you had a cell phone, and my wife would like sell you a different one. That's not what you guys do. You don't, convince somebody that's like, look, Mary, I do not want to buy a house today or tomorrow or anytime this year or ever, right? You don't like pull out some magic script and convince them to buy or sell. Really what we're doing is we're showing up. And if we show up at the right time to the right people and we say the right thing, right, there's this like higher likelihood that we're going to end up in a business relationship with them because we're finding them at the right time. So it's say the right thing, it's say it to the right people. And then that third real estate success principle, say it enough times or have enough people to say it to. And really what that's about, look, I'm sure any of you guys, if you've been in this business for a little while, you've worked leads, you've done open houses, you probably have a database. A lot of times it's not just, you pick the phone up once and you call that person and they're like, yeah, hey, we're ready to go. A lot of times you got to call them 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times, right? I mean, an internet lead might not end up buying for 18 months. So you're going to have to say it enough times, but you have to have enough people to say it to as well. So these are our real estate success principles. Let's kind of dive into how Brevity might help us with these real estate success principles. So the first thing that we believe you need in your business is a steady flow of leads, prospects, contacts into your database. And there's really two ways you can do this. You can work for them or you can pay for them, right? Now on our teams, we do both, right? We do open houses every weekend. All of our agents are asked until they get to a certain level of production to do 2 open houses every weekend. We're doing a lot of prospecting calls, just circle prospecting on a tool called Mojo, or just get in and just dial, right? Saying the right thing and just making a high volume of calls, trying to get people into the database that are willing to be nurtured or maybe have some kind of an upcoming real estate need. The other way, and look, Brevity can help you with those things, right? We've got awesome open house tools. And the other way is to pay for leads. And like, I don't think all real estate leads are created equal, but most real estate leads are created equal. They're like this inquiry that somebody makes on the internet, generally way before they're actually ready to buy or sell. Like on average, they're 12 months away from doing something when they kind of raise their hand on the internet. They fill out a form or they become a lead on your website. So about a year and a half ago, it's getting closer to 2 years now, Ben Kinney came to us and he said, guys, we've been doing real estate leads the same way for 20 years. And I started my career in real estate doing real estate leads back in 2001. We were one of the first people to take an IDX feed up here in Seattle, Washington from the Northwest MLS. And for years, you got a lead, and there was the same way you work them. You would do listing alerts, maybe you'd have some drip email campaigns, and you just try to call them. So he kind of charged us with figuring out a better way to do it. And we created what's called Brevity Connect. So we can go out and get you really affordable leads, really affordable leads. And we target a certain type of buyer that you're interested in. For example, in Bellingham, where Ben's team operates, We are constantly targeting buyers looking for a view of Bellingham Bay. So in Bellingham, if you own a home, you live in a home that has a view of the bay, or you want to live in a home that has a view of the bay, you're probably talking, at a minimum $800,000. Now we know that that type of a buyer is generally also going to be a seller, right? So we go out and we can really target these affordable buyer leads because we really niche down and we combine your understanding of your market with our understanding of digital marketing to find like niches in your area where we can get you really affordable. They're high quality. They're not, I don't want to call them cheap. They're affordable, but they're still high quality leads. So that's one aspect of Brevity Connect. But when we know that leads don't convert for 12 months, and this was really the problem Ben was looking for us to solve, we have to find some way to stay in front of that prospect for 12 months. Now, we give you tools, and we're going to talk about some of those tools today for you to do that with, leads, with your past clients, with your sphere, with stuff that you've already have in the database. But he wanted us to create a product or a program where when that person was online, no matter where they went, you guys, we would follow them around, showing them you. And so Brevity Connect, it generates leads. The second leg of Brevity Connect is what we call retargeting. And so if somebody has been or ends up being on your website looking at one property, we're going to start to retarget them around Facebook's ad ecosystem with similar properties. And the two kind of major places are Facebook and Instagram, but Facebook's ad network today powers a really large contingency of other sites and apps as well. So this isn't just on Facebook and Instagram, although those are two of the kind of major places, but any place that Facebook's ad network covers, we're going to retarget people in your database with similar properties to what they were looking on your website. So if they looked at one property in Bellingham, Washington at 500,000, awesome. We're going to start following around with other properties in Bellingham around that $500,000 price point. If they head off and start looking at places in Linden and they up their price point, maybe they won the lottery, who knows, right? Now they're looking at $800,000 places out in Linden. Cool. We're going to change what we start to show them as they're navigating the Facebook ecosystem, right? To give them similar properties to what they're looking at. And we're going to stay in front of them with those types of properties over and over and over again, continually driving them back to your website, giving you a reason and a chance to reach out and say the right thing at the right time. The third component of Connect, we've got leads, we've got the retargeting where we're following them all around with properties, is what we call remarketing. So in that case, we use the Google display ad network. By the way, when you combine the Google network with the Facebook network, that's about 98% of the ads that you would see on the internet, on your computer, on your phone, on the apps that you use. We use remarketing there to just assault them with your brand message. It's going to show up on CNN, and look, we don't care if they're lean right and they go to Fox News, or they lean left and they go to MSNBC. Like, you're going to be in both places, right? If they go to the Wall Street Journal, you'll show up there. The local newspaper, like in Ben's market, that's the Bellingham Herald. We can get ads. We can get them everywhere. And they get tired of reading the news and they go sit on their couch to play Candy Crush. Like, guess what, Benny? We're going to be there. Okay. So Brevity Connect is it's a kind of an additional product to the Brevity platform. Guys, our teams, and I'll show you one of these in just a little bit. Like this product will double the amount of website traffic that we are getting to our websites, like within the first 30 days. In some cases, within the first week. It's a massive amount of traffic because we take not just the people that are not just the lead we generate for you tomorrow, but anybody that's been on that website at all, right? We start to get those little cookies in place and the little Facebook pixels and these different kind of marketing magics, right, that are out there. And we just start to hammer your message to them so that when you're making calls to your prospects, to your leads, they start to say things like, oh, no, yeah, I recognize you, Kendra. I don't know why, but I feel like I see you everywhere. They do, right? Like everywhere they traverse on their phone and their computer, you're going to be there. All right, now, if you've got a steady flow of leads coming in, and it doesn't matter if, again, these are leads from an open house that you were out doing, or some circle prospecting, or website or internet leads, right? We have to have some way to follow up with those. Because Christy, you're going to be out showing houses. You're going to be, hopefully at somebody's kitchen table, like doing a listing appointment. Every once in a while, we got to spend a little bit of time, Brad, with our family. And I've got 2 small kids. Love to have some time with them, right? You're not sitting at your computer like waiting for a lead to come in. So we've got to be able to have plans, communication, texts and emails ready to go, so that when a contact or a prospect comes into the database, we just get them out something immediately. And in fact, for you guys that are Brivity clients, I just want to make sure everybody's got our most recent versions of Ben's 10 Days of Pain. So I'm going to put in the chat a couple of links here for everybody. There's that. If you're a current Brevity client, you can click. You have to be logged into your Brevity CRM as the account owner. Okay, so as long as you're the account owner logged into your Brevity CRM, if you click one of those 2 links right there that I just sent through to you guys, it's going to pull into your account each of those plans, right? So there's the 2020 10 Days of Pain, which is our kind of buyer lead conversion plan. And then there's one that's specific to Facebook, which like the Brevity Connect leads are coming in through Facebook. So, there's just some wording in those plans that says stuff, and you can see the wording actually on the first or on the slide right here. Hey, thanks for checking out our listing on Facebook. Or you're looking to buy a new home, sell a property, maybe invest in a rental. If they don't reply on these plans, they just keep going, right? There's another text queued up to go out an hour later, and another text an hour after that, and a text and an email the next day. And there's tasks baked into these things for you to go, do some work, right? Get on the phone and give them a call, or reach out, or get a listing alert set up, or a market report. Some of these other things we're going to talk about. The cool thing about these auto plans, first off, we'll give you everything Ben's team uses to run their business. If there's an auto plan that we use, we're full open. I guess they call it open kimono, right? Like, we'll just show you everything. Okay. Here's this plan. I just gave you 2, a Facebook version and then kind of our regular website version. But we've got like plans galore. You can reach out to our support team at any time, and they will give you Ben Kinney team's whatever plan. You have to have these things in place, because instant communication, it doesn't have to be instant, but that communication in the first 5 minutes that somebody registers on a website can be the difference between like landing the deal or solidifying the relationship and not. And again, most of the time, you're not sitting there, Christy, right? You're not just sitting there at your computer like waiting for somebody to come in. Yeah, Susie, hi, nice to see you. Get these things in place. And then we have triggers, and what you can do is you can set these things up so they can be triggered automatically when a lead comes in. So you can, based on different sources and different elements of that lead. So we can say, look, every time I get a new lead from a Facebook campaign, I want to fire this Facebook version of the plan. Every time I get a new lead that just went straight to my website, I want to fire this. Every time I get a new Zillow buyer lead, I want to fire this plan. And every time I get a new Zillow seller lead, I want to fire that plan. It's pretty advanced. Lots of cool things you can do inside these plans. You can build them out yourself. You can tweak the ones we have. You can even go into our Facebook community and ask other users if they'd be willing to share their plans. And we do really have a culture of people being willing to share the stuff they've made and that's working for them. And in one click, just like I shared with you guys a couple of plans today, people can share auto plans with each other. All right, next up, we got to have a dial. So if we have a steady flow of leads coming in, right? Or we've got a database that has past clients and Sphere and people in there, we need an efficient way to call them. I have a good friend that bought a really expensive car, 100% through text. He kind of set out to do it. He's like, I'm gonna buy a car. I'm gonna do it all through text. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. And he did it. He bought a really nice BMW all through text messaging. I have yet to hear of a real estate consumer doing this, right? Like you guys at some point are going to talk to that person who's thinking about buying or selling. And a lot of times you're going to talk to them a number of times before they're ready to actually buy and sell. Okay. So we got to have a dialer to kind of make a high volume of calls into the database. So we've got this, it's a single line dialer in Brivity, but we sat down and look, on Ben's teams, we do a lot of calling. It's really a foundation of our business. And one of the things that we did is we timed 4 individuals. 2 of those individuals were making manual dials into the database. Okay, they would call lead, they'd get done, they'd hang up, and right when they'd hang up talking to that prospect in the database, we'd start the stopwatch. And we timed how long did it take them until they got into the database, found the next phone number to call, type that phone number into their phone, and hit go, right? Hit send or call. That transition time on average was about 20 seconds. And we've done this a number of times. We had to make 100 calls, and just on average, how long did it take them to transition from call to call? The funny thing is, in the beginning of those 100 calls, guys, they were transitioning in like 10 to 12 seconds because they know they're being timed, and they're like doing it. They're moving fast, right? By the end, they would transition in like 30 seconds. It would take them 30 seconds to hang up, go in. Like, they just slow down. Their brain's not thinking, oh, I'm being timed, so I need to move. But 20 seconds on average to move from call to call. That's 20 seconds eliminated by the dialer. And that doesn't seem like very much time, but think about this for a minute. We have one gal. She makes 450 dials into her database every week. Okay, so if she's saving, she uses the Brevity dialer, by the way. She is saving 20 seconds on every call, and she made 450. So every 3 calls, she saves a minute. She's saving 150 minutes a week, you guys. That's 2.5 hours. Like, what? She's getting back in 20-second intervals 2 hours a week. It's actually 2.5. But just to make the math simple, let's say Katie worked, her name's Katie Centinella, by the way. Let's say she worked 50 weeks this year. She took 2 weeks of vacation. She saved 100 hours? 100 hours not dialing her phone. That is staggering, you guys. Like, that's 2 hours or 2 weeks of work. Like, what? Now, what can she do with that? I don't know. She can do whatever she wants with it. She could reinvest it back into her family, spend an extra 2 weeks this year with her kids just because she used the dialer. Like, we don't think about how often we lose 20 seconds in our life. Okay, we don't think about it, but this is a way that you can really become productive, is if you can get really kind of good at your prospecting efforts that you're making anyways, or we hope you're making. Right? Here's a couple of lists. And I don't know, maybe take a screenshot of this or something, but here's a couple of lists that inside of Brevity, our agents are constantly kind of going after, right? And we've got some routines. I'm going to show you the routine here a little bit to find the right people to say the thing to, right? Our second real estate success principle. But if you just want to get in there and say something to a bunch of people and say it a bunch of times, and here's some different, right, contacts with a phone and an address. We can go, we could go into our leads here, right? And we could filter our leads and say, just give me people that have a phone number and an address. Now, why? Well, maybe they live there and I could call them, right? Maybe I could call them with a script. And again, this gets to our first real estate success principle, right? Maybe I could call them and say something like, hey, Leslie, this is Bob Stewart with the Ben Kinney team. And it's been a while since we connected, but I was just reaching out to see if you guys have any real estate related plans for the rest of the year. And if I made that call 50 times, there's probably somebody in my database that I'm going to come across that's got some real estate related plans for the year, right? Now, if they have an address, they live somewhere, maybe they're thinking about selling that place, right? That's why that's one of our call lists that move the needle, right? We're always calling our past clients. I've actually never heard well, there's a few. I've only heard a few agents in my time, and I've been in the industry for 20 years. I've talked to a lot of real estate agents who've admitted I'm horrible following up with my past clients. Yeah, those are already in there for you, Susie. The has address and has phone. Yeah, those are already. We're just looking in the database. You don't have to tag them or anything. Yeah, that filter is already in there. I'm back to past clients. I've yet to. It's very rare that I hear an agent go, "I'm horrible at following up with my past clients." But here's the facts. NAR does a study every year, and in NAR's, it's called the Home Buyer and Seller Survey or something like that. Recently, the last one they called the Generational Trends Report or something like this. But every year, NAR does a study, and every year they ask buyers who bought a house that year. Right? And this is a statistically relevant survey. Like they survey thousands of buyers across the United States, and every year about the number changes by 1 or 2 or 3% each year, but like consistently year over year, about 90% of buyers say that they are either likely or highly likely to use the agent that helped them buy that house again when they either go to sell that house or buy something different. Like 90%. So you guys do a really good job as an industry. We do a really good job like working with our buyers. But every year they survey sellers, and sellers say only 20% of sellers actually work with the agent that they bought the house with. So 90% of them, when they buy it, say, yeah, Susie was amazing. She's like, I'm totally going to work with her again, or Kendra or Brad or Mary or Benny or any of you guys. They're like, yeah, I love them. I'm going to work with them again. But the cold hard facts is only 20% actually work with us again. Guys, we call that the loyalty gap. And the only way that you can close the loyalty gap is by staying in touch with your past clients. So that's a great list that you should constantly be thinking about getting in there and figuring out which past client haven't I talked to in the longest, right? And reaching out. Our sphere, old unqualified leads. So many of you guys have just these old leads that, by the way, a long time ago, you either paid for or you worked your butt off for to get them in that database, right? Don't let them just be dead and cold and stale in a corner in there. Like you can put them in a call list and go after them. We're always going after our website visitors, and we'll show you that in a minute, our market report viewers. And then inside of Brivity, there's a way for us to kind of target people that are opening things, but not necessarily engaging fully. And what I mean by that is inside of any of your indexes in here, your leads index, for example, you can go in and see people that are opening listing alerts. They might not be, viewing them or clicking through, right? But they're, opening listing alerts right here. Okay. Now these people have all just opened something recently because I'm actually showing you people that are on their website for something I'm going to show you in a minute. But there's a bunch of people, let's just do it. If I was to say last open, there's a bunch of people that have opened this email that we're sending them, but they haven't clicked through to the website. Like this person opened the email 1 minute ago. They have not clicked through on anything we've sent them in 4 months. That's a great person for us to reach out to. Maybe we need to change what we're sending this guy because he opens them. He just doesn't like anything that we send. He never clicks through on any of the properties, right? This person opened it 4 minutes ago. They've never come to our website. So there's lots of opportunities in the database sometimes when people are engaging what you send, but they're not kind of fully clicking through. All right, let's keep moving here. Let's keep moving. You got to get all your stuff in one place, and Brevity allows you to get all your stuff in one place. So if you have leads anywhere else out in the world, right? Realtor.com, Zillow, Dave Ramsey, Command. Some of you guys said, well, I use Command. If you're running like Facebook ads over there, which by the way, Brevity has Facebook ads just like that. They're even maybe one leg better, but you can get them all into Brevity. Okay, our support team can help you with that. It's either going to be through an API like we do with Zillow, through what's called email parsing, where we give you this unique email address that you could go put out on a place like Realtor.com. So when they send you the lead to that email address, we just fire it right into Brevity. Or there's a thing called Zapier that we can use to help you get the leads in there as well. I totally You know what? That's funny. That's not actually a part of this presentation. I went to the wrong presentation. Let me kill that one. Let me get out of there. That's what happens. You start bouncing back and forth. All right. Listing alerts and market reports, guys. You hang around Brevity long enough and you come to some of the things that you're going to hear me talk about these just till I'm blue in the face. And the reason, like, I'm not a huge fan of drip campaigns. Okay. I think there's a place for auto plans when a lead first comes in to make sure that we're getting that communication really early and often with them. But like over the long haul, the thing that you guys have that people actually want is not some stupid email with like a recipe or change the clocks or, you know, happy Halloween, or like the thing you have that people want over a long period of time is the real estate data. The data. I don't care how you say it, right? It's the new properties that are hitting the market. It's what's selling around that person's house. So we literally every single buyer prospect in our world, every single one gets set up on a listing alert. Not after we talk to them, because a lot of these buyer prospects, you're not going to talk to them. They're going to ignore you. They're going to ignore all your calls, all your texts, all your emails. And so we just get every single one on a listing alert, similar to the property that they came into our world on, right? If they were at an open house, cool. They're going to get listings similar to that open house that they visited. If they looked at a property on our, you know, Facebook ad that we were running, cool. We're going to give them homes similar to that one. If we have old buyer leads, and Ben will actually buy databases from agents that go out of business. And so sometimes we'll bring in a database to his business that has 1,000 leads in it. And we're like, I don't know where these leads came from. I don't know what they were looking for. But let's say that database was an agent in Bellingham, Washington. We're going to go set every single one of those buyer leads up on a search for Bellingham, Washington. These days, the numbers are starting to skew a little higher, 500 to 700,000. Just go. When we do that with 1,000 old leads, like every single time, like at a minimum, like 20% of those people will just engage one of those listing alerts. They won't say anything to us. They won't say, hey, you know, get lost. Who are you? Although a few people will say that. They won't say, hey, can you change the criteria? We're not looking in Bellingham. We're looking in Ferndale. Although a few people will say that. They won't say, hey, we need 3 bedrooms. Stop sending us stuff with 2. Although a few people will say that. They'll just come back to the website and just start showing up, so that we can reach out to them at the right time and hopefully say the right thing. Market reports. Like almost everybody in our database is potentially someone that could have a market report. And what a market report does is it shows somebody in an area that you determine the current active listings, the current pending properties, and then anything that's sold in that area in the last 30 days and the price that it sold for and the photos of the house. Zillow exists. I firmly believe this, you guys. Zillow exists because our MLSs did not give us this power back in 2006 when Zillow came into existence. Back then, Zillow said, we think people want to know what their neighbor's house sold for. We also think people want to get an idea of what their house is worth. Now, Zillow took it a step further and created this kind of phantom number that their house is worth, and they call it a Zestimate, but people like it. But really what people want to know is what their neighbors' houses are selling for, because it gives them a really good idea of what their house might be worth. So today, if you are not sending a market report out to your sphere, your past clients, any seller prospects in your database, I promise you they're getting the information of what their neighbor's house sold for from somewhere. It's probably Zillow or Redfin, or, you know, or they just go out on the internet, they start Googling, and they end up in some of their agent's database. By the way, not only do we do this with our past clients, our sphere, our seller prospects, we also give every buyer a market report for the area they're looking to buy. So you think about that, right? We have a lead come in. Let's say a lead comes in and they're looking in Bellingham at a property at $600,000. Okay, we're going to give them a listing alert from 550 to 700 probably. Then they're going to get a market report in Bellingham for 550 to 700. So every day they get the new listings sent to them, right? And then once a week, We're going to send them out a report that shows them everything happening in Bellingham in that same area and price range that we're sending them new listings each day. Super effective strategy. Because think about it. Let's say it's like if this scenario would or could absolutely happen in my home. My wife and I right now are looking for an Airbnb rental property. But look, we're always on the lookout for like our forever house too, right? So let's say my wife is being sent listings from Ben Kinney up in Bellingham, Washington, between 7 and 900,000. Okay. So she's getting these listings, and in one day today's a Wednesday. On a Wednesday, shows up this property, and my wife's like, "Hey, honey, I kind of like this property. Like, just hit the market today. We should call this Ben Kinney guy and maybe go see this property." And I say to her, "Gosh, honey, I don't know. Like, I'm super busy at work the next couple of days. We were on vacation last week, so I got to catch up. I'm still like buried, so I'm slammed the next 2 days. I don't think I could even get away for a half hour." And then Kellen's got his first football game on Saturday. I kind of want to watch the Husky game, like Seahawks openers on Sunday. Like, I don't know. And she's like, "Seriously, like we can't find a half hour, an hour to get out and meet Ben and see this house?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Let's just, how about next weekend?" She's like, "All right, whatever. Like you could totally miss the Seahawks game." And I'm like, "Honey, I'm not missing the Seahawks game." If sometime in the next week, right, that market report shows up to her and she pulls it up and she's looking around on that thing, and the market report is showing her Bellingham, Washington, 500 to 700 or whatever that same listing alert out. That house she liked is going to be on there. What happens if that house is pending? Like, I don't know what happens in your house, but my wife's going to come grab me, like maybe physically. She'll be like, "Hey, moron, like, look at this. Remember that house I told you we should call Ben and go look at? It's pending. Somebody else like made an offer on it." Right? Next time we see one I like, right? I don't care about Seahawks. Like, I don't care. Like, we're going to figure it out. We're going to go see it. It just lets them know what's happening in that area that they want to buy it. Super, super effective strategy. All right. Probably one of the most common questions that I get at Brivity from people is, do you have an auto plan? We talked about the auto plans earlier for new leads, right? But do you have an auto plan for a nurture? And my answer is no. Now, look, somebody does, I'm sure. I'm sure somebody's created a 33 touch or some kind of drip campaign to nurture a lead that you've talked to, right? Somebody you've talked to who's not going to buy for 6 months or a year and a half or 5 years. Like, we don't do that. Think about, like, let's say you talk to 100 prospects. How many of them have the exact same scenario? How many of them need to be nurtured in the exact same way? Right? How many? Like, of those 100 prospects, you've got one lady in there. She's a widower. She's got $5 million in the bank, and she's looking to downsize. You got another person in there who's going to be a first-time home buyer. You got another person in there who lives in a condo, a person that lives in a mansion. You've got somebody that's going to be an FHA loan versus somebody that has all cash. Like, to think that you can put together some plan that speaks to all of these people is crazy. If you have real people, you should treat them like real people. Don't drip on them. Nobody likes to get dripped on. Like, I've never once walked down the street, got something dripped on my head, and I was like, "Oh, hey, wow, that was awesome. Like, can I get more of that?" We don't like to get dripped on. Okay? People like to be treated like real people. So we have this philosophy of just every prospect in the database that we've talked to, we're always on the hunt for, like, what is next? And we use targeted reminders to follow up with people based on their unique scenarios. Because once you talk to somebody, like, what's next with that person is not a drip campaign. You might want to send them something, but the thing you're sending the lady who's downsizing and she's a widow is different than the thing you're sending the small family looking for their first time and they're going to be an FHA buyer. Like those things are so different. Now, what's one thing they both may want is properties. That's why we do listing alerts, right? But our follow-up, we are very targeted about it. And look, from an efficiency standpoint, it's a little bit harder to kind of do it that way, but it's like the conversions are massive, and our teams get some of the highest. Look, I don't know about everybody's conversion rate. I just know ours are really good because we are able to follow up with somebody over a long period of time, because we're continually asking ourselves, what's next with this prospect? What's next with this prospect? What would be a good thing to do next? Sometimes we don't know, by the way, what the next thing is. We just say, hey, let's just follow up with them again in a month. But we're constantly putting these targeted reminders or tasks into our database to follow up. Some people, there's different learning styles, different ways that people connect. And some people are called kinesthetic learners, where they need to touch and feel things in order to kind of get the message. And so we created something called Brevity Marketer. And I'll take you in here and show you Brevity Marketer for just a second. This is a function you guys all have as Brevity platform clients, or if you became a Brevity platform client, you'd have access to this. It's the ability to do direct mail. So we can do direct mail on just listed and just solds, where, let's see if I'm in here. I could have looked at this team. Let's see if they've got generally have listings. Yeah, they're in a market that's moving really fast. Oh, here's an active. All right, we can come in here, and at any given time, there's going to be a campaign set up, kind of waiting to send for all of your just listed and your just sold. So like they could literally come in here. They don't have to do anything right now. We're connected in the MLS. We know they sold this property recently, like on the 8/4 is when this thing turned to sold in the MLS. They could just come in here and send this just sold postcard out, and we would target with an algorithm the 300 best prospects around this home to get their marketing message out to. And these are templates that you can set up, and you can kind of tweak them to make them however you want. But these just listed and just sold just waiting back here for them to come in and send. Now, there's a cost associated with sending them, but we send them USPS first class mail. We track them. We actually give you credits back if they get returned undeliverable. They're like, the small postcards are like 59 cents. There's 3 different sizes. I don't think 99, $1.29 or something like that. So it's a great technique for really kind of getting your message in front of the right people at the right time. So think about like this property that they sold here on Stony Kirk Road in Pelham, Alabama. We would not send this postcard to like the house 2 doors down if those people just bought that house 2 doors down like 3 months ago, because those people are thinking about like couches and curtains, right, Susie? They're not thinking about, maybe selling their house, Leonard. But the house 10 doors down that they bought their house 7 years ago, and they're, statistically a lot closer to being ready to sell today, right? We're going to put your marketing message in front of them, not the person 3 doors down. And so we use an algorithm to just go out and kind of figure depending on how many you want to send, what are the best homes to send those to. You can also just come in here and draw on a map and tell us where to send them, including picking things like, I only want to send to houses in this neighborhood that last bought their house more than 5 years ago. And when they did, they paid more than $300,000 for it, and they have more than 3 bedrooms. You can really get in and target your message to a very particular audience. So this is about being efficient with your marketing dollars, right? If you guys are going to go out and spend marketing dollars to promote your listings, to promote your successes or your sold properties, let's do it in the most efficient manner, and we can help you with that. Now, there's a whole bunch of other types of postcards that you can send in here. You can even upload your own postcard designs, and we can send those out USPS first class mail. Brevity Marketer has other elements to it. It's got this whole print media section where you can do just listed and sold flyers, open house sign-in sheets. We've got some stuff kind of coming soon, door hangers coming soon. And then it's also got this Facebook ad deal, just like command, except for it's got like an extra layer to it, which is essentially when you get out running these ads. And by the way, people are getting leads from these ads somewhere between $2 and $3 a lead. It's self-serve. You guys can come in here if you've got properties. You can run, just listed, just sold. At open houses. You can even run ads to try to generate your own home value leads, or these buyer search and carousel ads are kind of cool. These are like kind of curated like blocks of listings that you can promote. Just a really slick product that actually is being underutilized. Like at the value that the people that are utilizing it, in fact, I don't have that tab up here. At the value that people are utilizing it, I'm actually shocked that like not everybody's doing it. I mean, it's such a small sliver of our Brevity clients, but it's a relatively new thing for us. And it does require you to have, some, it's super easy. We do classes on this every Thursday. You could go inside of Brevity and go here to the question mark and go to the Brevity University and go find the class we do maybe it's every other Thursday on Brevity Marketer, but super, there's a lot going on back here, a lot of cool stuff. You can even order signs back here if you needed signs or business cards or things like that. All right. Direct mail so they can touch it. Let's get here to react when they engage. So I'm not even going to go fully into this slide. React when they engage. Here's what I mean by that. You should be coming into your database like every day. And remember that second real estate success principle, so the first one is say the right things. The second one is say it to the right people, and then say it enough times. The right people are the people showing signs in the database of being, in the real estate mindset, right? Like, for example, this is Ben's Bellingham team. They get a lot of traffic on their website. They're running, they got all sorts of lead sources and Brevity IDX. They've got lots of Facebook stuff going, right? They've got this retargeting and remarketing concept happening. I can show you that here on their dashboard. We'll let that load up while I'm looking at, but like all the time, they've got people in here who are on the website, and think about like making the right call to the right person. We should call, well, first off, let's just see, like these people all, a lot of reminders, right, that we have coming, but like this unqualified lead that we haven't even tried to talk to in 16 days, who was just on the website 42 minutes ago, and he looked at, this property right here, right? Like, let's reach out to that guy, right? Or we come in here and we've got Nancy who looked at this property, right? And she hadn't been on the site in a week. Like, we should reach out to her and see what she thought about that property out there in Birch Bay, right? And we should probably ask her, like maybe there's more of a conversation here. Cause look, this lady's looking all over Whatcom County, right? And she doesn't even appear to care about how many bedrooms or bathrooms are on these properties. So like, what's she doing? Is she looking for a rental? Is she looking for like an Airbnb? Like, what's she up to? Like, there's a bunch of good questions that come out of like kind of their activity, but every day we got to be back here with this person. We haven't talked to them in 3 months. We actually have a task due to call them today. They're on the website today. Like, let's not miss this, right? Let's get in and make this call to them, because they did just look at this property once today, but man, they looked at this property 3 times like a week and a half ago. I might want to reach out and see if they'd like to get out and see this one, right? And we see all this. There is such a massive amount of activity back here that they don't have any shortage of the right people to try to say something to today, guys, right? Like, and look, they do a good job. Some of these people had a call an hour ago, right? But 12 minutes ago, Aaron logged a call with this guy, 9 days ago. But some of these people haven't had it 4 months. Ooh, we got to call that person, right? We got to jump on that one. Because they were looking at well, sometimes they hit our website. They don't look at a particular property. They might have just been like looking at like groups of properties. They ran a search, but they didn't drill down on anything particular. That's what we saw right there. Look at this. I mean, they've had 50 visitors in the last 3 hours. By the way, see that all this return to the website via Brevity Connect retargeting campaign. So this Sarah Runyon lady, we're out there continuing to drive her back. Like, 6 hours ago, guys, she was on Facebook. We drove her back. 3 hours ago, she was on Instagram. We drove her back. Like Christina Ammons, Vicky, Sarah. Here's Sarah again. Like this lady's, we're highly engaging this person to just keep coming back day over day over day. Like we are absolutely going to self-serve running a house, right? Where otherwise she might have been off on Zillow or Realtor or somebody else, or right. We're just continuing to retarget and re-engage. Like this retargeting stuff is really, really powerful. It's continuing to drive people back in again to see similar properties to the properties that they had been looking at on the website. So we react when they engage, and we can come into these indexes and we can do things like who's been on our website recently, or we can come over here and say, who's been viewing my market reports, right? And when we go into the viewed market reports, you're going to see a bunch of people that like, these are great seller prospects, you guys. Look at Josh Steinbeck, who was in here looking at his market report. He just came into our world. We sent it to him. He's looked at it twice this morning. That's awesome. Who else do we have in here? Like, do we have anybody that's been looking at this thing over a long period of time? Look at this lady, guys. Way back in 2019, she was pretty engaged with that market report we were sending her, and then she stopped looking at it for 2 years. Should we call her today, since she just again today started thinking about what her neighbors' houses were worth, or what's going on in the real estate market in Bellingham? Probably should, right? Probably should. They have all these opportunities in here every single day to go out and make a call to somebody, try to say the right thing to the right people at the right time. Scripts and questions that eliminate the guesswork. I want to show you guys these next two documents I'm going to show you. You can actually find in our Brevity Masterminds group in the files section. Okay, in the files section, and one is called the buyer information lead sheet, and one is called the seller information lead sheet. Okay, buyer information lead sheet and seller information lead sheet. Here's what they look like. These are all the questions that we need to get answered. And if we can get them answered, there's a high chance this buyer is going to be our buyer. Here's all the seller questions we need to get answered. So look, we practice our scripts and dialogues every morning, right? But these questions on here really give you a framework for how to talk to prospects. So like one of the most common things you'll see, especially if you're working in internet leads, is like, right, internet lead will come in, the auto plan will kick off, it'll start talking to them, right? And that first question it says is, hey, are you guys thinking about buying, thinking about selling, or maybe interested in purchasing a rental property? A lot of times, it's the most common response. People will say, oh, we're just looking. We're not doing anything serious right now. We're just browsing. We're just curious. We're just looking. The worst thing you can say there is, okay, let me know if you need anything, and just like leave it. But that's the most common thing agents say. We see it all the time. Okay, let me know if you need anything. What I want to know right away, I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's awesome. They're just looking. Hey, do you guys currently live in the Bellingham area? Oh, you do? That's fantastic. Do you guys own or rent right now? Oh, you rent. Cool. Are you guys in a lease? When's that lease expire? Is it possible that you guys are maybe thinking about, buying at the end of that lease? These are really, really strong. Ben created these years ago because he figured out that like there was a similar set of things that he had to get in order to like make that person his client. He knew, and look, he might get all these answers like in the first month and they don't buy for a year, but that's okay. He's got lots of things that he can reach out and check on them, right? If I knew all about their family, like as I was reaching out to him, I could be asking him, how's Jimmy enjoying the second grade out over there at Smith Elementary School, right? Message center. I love this, especially if you run a team. Your ability to come in here and see all of the communication that your agents are having via text with prospects and leads allows us to find agents that need help saying the right thing. Because if I come in here and I see a lead that replies and says, oh, we're just looking, and my agent says, okay, well, let me know if you need anything. I know when they get on the phone and somebody says, I'm just looking, they're going to say the exact same thing, which is let me know if you need anything. But if I can come in here and see, how my, like, for example, hey, are you looking to buy a new home, sell a property, or maybe invest in rental? This person says, buy. Hey, thanks for getting back to me. I just left a voicemail. It looks like you were looking at some 55 homes in Bellingham. Is that the only area you're looking at, or you opened up other areas as well, right? Like, is that the best thing they could have said? I don't know, but I can help script Alex to be better at approaching Sarah, right? If I didn't think that was the best thing he could have said. Like, for example, he said this 5 days ago. She didn't respond. What I would have coached him to do is like 30 minutes later, ask her another question. Hey, Sarah, did you see my text? You must be busy. Hey, is there a better time that we can have this conversation? All right. The last thing is, actually, here's a good example, right? Hey, I saw you reviewed some homes on my website. Just checking in to see if you'd like to see any in person. And the agent or the consumer says, not yet. And he says, okay, I'm here when you're ready. What? That's it. He walked away from it. Didn't say anything else. That's crazy. A model, a system, or a plan to execute it all. We give you guys this document if you're a Brevity user called the Brevity Agent Top 10. The daily top 10 steps to succeed with Brevity. On our lunch and learns and happy hours once a month, I do a call about this Brevity Agent Top 10. If you went into our help support, like, there's no shortage of ways for you to watch me do a breakdown of this daily routine inside of Brevity. You can find this document by going again into the file section in our mastermind group. Going into the file section, and it's called the Brevity Agent Top 10 right here. So you can find that top 10 is kind of a daily routine of what you might do inside of Brevity every day. And this is what our agents do on Ben's teams. That's their routine that they do, so that we make sure that we are saying the right things to the right people. And that routine is really all about finding the right people. But then we do use things like the dialer to make sure we can get a high volume of calls in, so we can say those things enough times. If you are not a Brevity client and you're curious about some of the stuff we've talked about today, you can text platform to 59559. We've got kind of price points like all along the way. If you're a single agent, we've got really affordable price points. You got a big mega team with 25 users, and you're going to be sending lots of texts, and we've got different price points for that. Jeanette says, how much of the system can be ran by a virtual assistant? I would say everything that can't be done on the phone, Jeanette. Look, and the reality is Brevity has VAs. Like, we do Brevity VAs. My mom has a VA. My mom's a real estate agent. She runs one of Ben's teams in Olympia, Washington. My mom's VA does a ton of stuff. She sets up all the listing alerts and market reports, but she does not make the calls to the clients. But we do have teams. In fact, there's a guy up in Toronto, Renee, who sent me this just like gushing review recently about his VAs that he's been using. They've been setting like 2 or 3 listing appointments a week for him. So, look, Jeanette, we have this philosophy around here. Ben has a lot of teams, right? We have 65 teams, and they all have a partner that runs the team. And, his commentary to them often is, the team is kind of like the database, the team, like the business. It's like your child, right? You can't just let them run loose and then just never check in on them. Jeanette, if you had really good systems, or you were dedicated to leveraging the systems we have, I think probably 75% of this could be run by a virtual assistant. It could be even higher. Like Renee today, I'd probably say that 90% of what is happening in here for him is being done by virtual assistants. This is on the sales side of the business. different states have different laws about who can say what on the phone. What can a licensed person say versus what can an unlicensed person say. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this can be run by a virtual assistant, but it would take, you kind of getting them up to speed on your business, on how things work around you, right? It wouldn't be just like tomorrow you could hire 3 VAs and just turn them loose and just sit back and collect paychecks. Like if that was the case, we'd probably charge a heck of a lot more for our VAs. All right, if you are a Brevity client today, and that Brevity Connect program that I was showing you here, all the retargeting and remarketing visits, this team has actually had to turn off the new lead flow because they can't handle it anymore. It's been too many new leads for them as part of Brevity Connect. But if you're interested in that lead program, you can text better leads to 59559. By the way, I'm using Quickly. If you guys are at this accelerate level and you've got Quickly as part of your Brevity package, that's the text functionality, which we didn't even talk about today. But if you're curious about the Brevity platform, because you're not currently a Brevity client, you can text platform to 59559. If you are a Brevity client and you're curious about Brevity Connect, which we kind of started things off with in talking about consistent lead flow, text better leads to 59559. All right. Christy, Jeanette, Susie. Yeah, Jeanette, my mom, her name is Gail Smith. If you wanted to reach out to her, you can find her in our Brevity Facebook group. Like you could call and ask her how much of what they're doing is being managed by her VA. I'd say her VA probably taken on 50%, if not more, of the back end, just kind of get auto plans assigned, making sure everybody's got listing alerts and market reports. Her agents and her are making the calls, but yeah, their VAs are running almost all of the back end stuff, especially once she's had a VA that's been with her for like a year. So now that VA, look, they're based in the Philippines, right? But like that VA now like understands the Olympia Tacoma market and knows what the price points are. And so, yeah, I mean, definitely over time, it's even more and more stuff they can take on as they start to learn not just your business, but your market. All right, you guys, it's the top of the hour. I appreciate you guys spending some time with me. My name is Bob Stewart. You can always find me in our masterminds group on Facebook, or I'm Facebook at Active Bob. Have an awesome rest of your week, you guys, and we'll talk to you all soon. Appreciate you joining me. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. See you, Christy.